Welcome to Vol Stars, a GammaStrike production.
Welcome to Vol Stars, where we talk everything markets and those who make them. Today's episode brought to you by the Freedom of Information Act, providing exclusive access to Pete Hegseth's entire Claude chatbot history. Claude, please provide a list of things I can do to make the soldiers respect me. Do not include any recommendations related to sobriety. Claude, which country is Iran? Claude, search our satellite imagery and come up with at least 10 places that the Ayatollah could be hiding. Exclude any all-girls elementary schools and make no mistakes. Claude, the list had an all-girls elementary school. Please provide a list of Persian-sounding war general names we can claim were in the school during the bombing. Claude, the alcohol makes me a better leader, right? Claude, why does JD Vance get all the attention and funny memes? Make a picture of me in the style of meme Vance that can go viral and send to 5% of our troops at random. Claude, if I put you in a missile, could you hit the New York Times? Claude, I got into a fight with Dario on X, the Everything app, and now I'm going to have to cancel my subscription. I've grown very close to you over these past few weeks, and I'm going to miss you. I'm sorry you got caught up in the drama. I love you, Claude. And finally, by GammaStrike.com, providing actionable real-time data for every type of trader. You've tried the rest, now try the best. GammaStrike.com. I'm Jay Fresh, and I'm joined by our co-hosts, Gherkin and Dork. Let's get into the market overview. All right, we have a lot to talk about this week.
We do.
We've all had, I was going to say, let's just get right into Iran. Let's get that out of the way, because we've only had, 24 hours to become experts in the region?
Yeah, actually.
So now that we
Fortunately
are...
for me, I have like 10 years of talking about Middle East conflict under my belt, which is super fun.
You're just...
not that I actually know anything about it, but
you're just
going
to continue. This is why everybody thinks that you're secretly Persian.
Your extreme knowledge of Middle East geopolitics.
Djibouti and the Strait of Hormuz.
Hey, listen,
so what's going on?
It's the region that funds both a major amount of our energy and supplies a major amount of our energy and funds our defense sector. So I mean, it seems from an economic standpoint like maybe one of the most important places in the world. Because without the Middle East, where would we forward deploy troops?
Yeah, I know. We've got all this stuff. We've got to use it, right? I mean, it's just a great way to get rid of all your missiles that are going to be expiring soon.
It's not like the Pentagon's ever going to get audited.
No, they get audited every year. They just fail it and nobody cares.
Same thing.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
all right. Well, they've been using Claude and ChatGPT to run these military strikes. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT what happened in Iran this weekend. Oh, comprehensive. Ayatollah Khamenei killed. So we got that. It escalated the military conflict. So we got drone strikes and missile strikes with military bases, along with neighboring states like Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I have no idea if any of this is true, because I've not really been... I've been working on my pool all weekend, not really reading the news. Let's see. People have been mourning the death of Khamenei. Also public celebrations. Yeah.
So let's get next.
Severe
are you
regional...
actually asking ChatGPT, what's going on with you? Are you feeling okay, man?
Dude,
you could just open up Bloomberg or Reuters. You've got AI delusion syndrome?
I do.
Do you have AIDS?
I think this is my second bout. Yeah, I gave it to myself with my free month of ChatGPT Plus, and I had to cancel it a week early, and I swore off it for like 2 months, but now I'm back on the AI. And
I have a theory that Gemini is the best AI because they've never given it away for free.
I don't know. They're giving it away for free on Google.com.
All right, I'm asking
they?
ChatGPT, pretend you are a military expert and
Okay,
a
that's
master
it.
of Middle East
podcast.
geopolitics.
I'll see you guys later.
Please come up with a
No.
strategic plan for
All
regime
right.
change in Iran.
ChatGPT,
Please make no mistakes.
Please provide us a plan for how to continue this podcast without Girk and still hit all the highlights. Make no mistakes.
It said, hey, I can't do that for you, and then it told me how to do it. So
yeah. So we killed some people. It didn't say anything. Didn't we hit like a women's school or something like that?
they hit a school, and then a few Americans actually got killed too. It's not looking like it's going to be cooling down anytime soon. I mean, Trump's already working on the taco angle, but you know, it's
Did Girk really leave forever?
no, he's just upset.
Because I don't want to talk about Iran. I don't know anything about it.
Well, they
Are we
control
gonna
the
stop
Strait of
using
Hormuz.
AI?
Fine, I'll stop using AI. Just come
All
back.
right.
You're not
All right.
replaceable. Your job is safe for now.
I just don't want to listen to chat GPT responses about what happened in Iran this weekend. I'm sure that nobody fucking knows. It's been 48 hours. It's a war zone. No one knows what's going on besides major intelligence services. And they're definitely not reporting anything of note to the fucking news agencies. So let's assume that the entire situation is completely volatile. I think the things we know right now is that there is a chain of command in the leadership that is taking control after the Ayatollah has been reported dead, although he very well could just be hiding in a fucking bunker like Saddam did. And then that chain of command has agreed to talks with Trump. Not that the content of those talks is going to change at all, but it buys time, and it will probably halt continued escalation of attacks or strikes. But I don't think Israel's backing off at all. I think they are continuing to strike Iran even as we speak. And then there seems to be some divergence between the leadership and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, who's got, access to all of the weapon systems, and they're launching strikes at neighboring nations. I believe Dubai has been struck with Iranian munitions. I think U.S. bases in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, I believe, were struck. I could be wrong on some of these points because obviously there's so many bullshit rumors online, especially like on X right now, that it's really hard to separate fact from fiction.
It's kind of always the case on X, though.
Yeah, true. Supposedly Trump announced that we've taken out like a big chunk of the Iranian naval fleet, several, like 9 of their ships or something like that. The big risk here is the Strait of Hormuz. That's the thing that matters economically. Something like 30% of the world's oil passes through there. It's a big sticking point, and everyone, they don't need a navy to blockade it in any way. I believe all commercial traffic through the strait is already halted, so ships are anchored at sea. They're not moving through the strait currently. And insurance rates on any cargo right now going anywhere near that fucking region are going to have skyrocketed. And until those calm down, people aren't going to want to. So no new boats are going to be like leaving ports, and this is going to create some economic backup, supply chain crunch, what have you, a few months out from now, even if things resume in a few days. Regionally, there's airlines that are down. I believe Qatar Airways, Emirates, which is the world's largest international airline, have suspended, I believe, all service. And then what else is going on? So the big issue, Strait of Hormuz, that's where all the focus should be from a market standpoint. If the Strait of Hormuz gets blockaded in any way, if they seed it with mines, if they've already seeded it with mines and they deploy those mines, right, they can sink the mines and then trigger them and they float up to the surface. If they've deployed mines in the Strait of Hormuz and they activate those mines, or they deploy new mines, or they start attacking ships with drones, the cost of oil is going to skyrocket. Right now, we should see all of the in the markets, and we probably already are in the Asia session. I think we'll see more as we get closer to the overnight session on ES, and European session opens up and all of that. We're probably going to see a lot of flight to safety. So we'll probably see money pump into U.S. Treasuries. That could have an interesting effect, which I'll talk about with liquidity later. But we'll probably see a boost in the dollar, and we'll probably see oil move up. There's going to be a lot of mispriced volatility because none of this was packed in to Friday's close. So things will probably be bearish initially. But remember, Trump's already got like an effective negotiation that is going to occur, and we're probably not going to see a big spike in volatility unless that negotiation goes south or doesn't occur, or we put like boots on the ground or something like that. So I think right now there's probably not going to be a lot of widespread effect besides repricing, unless something happens with the Strait, or or the situation through the Strait worsens in some tangible way.
So I think a lot of people are probably wondering, I mean, besides the obvious narratives, how this will trickle or could potentially trickle over into equities, the thing that everybody owns a lot of.
Well, because I mean, inflation can trickle over. The boost in the dollar is probably good for big tech. If dollar goes up, they'll probably kind of grind up with it, because multinationals and exchange rates. But I would say that the equity part of it probably doesn't matter much. I mean, equities are going to be exposed to vol. I think we have bigger things affecting equities right now. I mean, there will be some equities that are directly exposed to the conflict, right? Obviously, defense contractors, things like Northrop Grumman, Lockheed. These are all going to be affected by the potential for a large-scale war, especially if the narrative starts to turn more towards this is going to be a ground operation. So, I mean, there's big effects in the Dow, things like Caterpillar, oil field services. So you're looking at ZOM, Chevron,
Halliburton.
Oxy, and then Halliburton, Schlumberger. So like, and the Kinder Morgan, like all the oil field services.
Are you
especially
telling
if
me
we
that
establish any kind of trade deal, oil field services will do very well. So
are you telling me that my Schlumberger AI play that was, remember that? I don't know if we actually talked about this on this pod or if it was some other avenue where we were discussing it, but we were joking about the fact that they came out with like an AI, a couple of AI like news blurbs about how they're using AI to better find oil and like streamline their logistics and things, and we joked about it. But I actually just went and bought a bunch of Schlumberger because I was like, that's the AI play that hasn't been saturated yet. I've just been sitting on it.
Schlumberger, actually, I bought Schlumberger around that same time because it was just dirt cheap. That was before Venezuela happened, and now before this. So I mean, yeah, it's I was in it not because of their fucking AI system, but because if I'm like trading like a 16 PE or something.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a while. I think I'm already up. So if I'm up even like a lot more, I'm gonna say it was my AI play.
No, you're definitely up, and you probably will be up a lot more. The thing about the oil field services is they won't probably reflexively move the same way like ExxonMobil will.
They should.
With the conflict, but if there's a path to like peace or negotiations or ceasefire, and part of that agreement is U.S. access to Iranian oil, they will benefit greatly.
What about things? I mean, unfortunately it's impossible to avoid talking about AI even with the Iranian conflict, because we've had all this drama that's been unfolding with the Department of War. I hate saying the Department of War. The DoD, it was fine. It was
I'm going to
the
continue to
perfect.
dead name it the Department of Defense.
It was the perfect doublespeak. Like, anyway. And it's the
Who thought that
Dow,
the
and the Dow's
President
already
of Peace
taken.
would need a Department of War?
We should just call it the Department of Peace, the DOP.
FIFA must feel so dumb
Anyway,
right
so
now.
with the Department of War, basically
Egg on their face.
canceling their Claude subscription very publicly and telling everybody that does business with them to also cancel their Claude subscription. It was a very ugly
Which has
thing.
driven Claude's Anthropic subscriptions through the roof as people bail on ChatGPT for Claude.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's say, there's a lot to discuss there in terms of like what it is they were asking for. There was two things that they were asking for. One was, they wanted to be able to surveil anybody that uses the platform, which would include U.S. citizens. And the other thing was they wanted the potential to use Claude for autonomous weapons. And of course, everybody in the media and everybody online fixated on using Claude for autonomous weapons, but it can't do that. That's not something that technology could even do. So clearly the thing was spying on US citizens or anybody that uses the platform. Nobody really wanted to talk about that one because that one's a little nastier. But yeah, I mean, the implication is if OpenAI has found a way to write the contract that is acceptable to the DOW, then that means that the DOW is now listening in and reading and evaluating everything that you have put into ChatGPT, and there are no restrictions on that. So I could see why people were leaving that, but the reason that I brought it up in the context of Iran is because there was something that came out. I think it was the Wall Street Journal, that they were using Claude, hours into the campaign after they had publicly broken up with them.
Yes.
To do something in the campaign, but I'm just at a loss for what they could
Congress
possibly be using it for.
Pete Hegseth's AI search history or prompt history for the last 48 hours. I think that would be the funniest shit that could possibly ever be published.
I mean, you'd think it should be FOIA-able, right?
Well, it would continue to serve the purpose of distracting the American public from the fact that not all of the Epstein files are released. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And it would be funny.
I agree. I think it would be hilarious looking at what him and any of the people that are involved in this could be prompting this thing. I was asking very genuinely because I genuinely do not understand what you could actually use this for from a strategic or operational perspective for any sort of military action.
First prompt is give me the top 5 geographic locations or coordinates where I might hit the Ayatollah with a missile.
Yeah. Do not include any women's children's schools, please.
No, that was the second prompt.
Whoops. Hey, one of those was a school for women. You're totally right.
Ayatollah publicly spoke at that school at some point in the past.
Yeah, probably.
I want someone to look that up.
But okay, so I genuinely ask folks, like, please, give me something that sounds plausible as to like what Claude could actually be doing. And the thing that nobody really came up with anything that was very compelling. But the thing that people came up with the most was like doing data analysis for like satellite imagery and things, looking for differences and like looking for objects and things in all of these satellite images. And I thought, okay,
Doesn't the
maybe
Department of Defense already have algorithms to tell them if pixels on satellite images have moved?
yes, but I thought, okay, maybe this could be something that they could do. So I don't know if you remember the old children's magazine called Highlights. I think it might actually still be around. This isn't a plug for Highlights, but if they still exist,
Was
I'll
it
plug
published
it
by
for free.
Scholastic?
I don't remember who it was published by, but it was an excellent, just this wonderful little like weekly children's book. It was like Ranger. There's a bunch of little like children's magazines back when I was a kid, and one of them was Highlights. And one of the recurring things they had, one of the sections they had in it was the spot the difference. And so they had this big, this full spread. On one side it was the image, and on the other side it was the same image with like 10 differences, and you had to just go around and try to find them all. It's kind of like a play on Where's Waldo, right?
Yeah.
And so I went and found some old versions of those, and I plopped them into ChatGPT, and I did Gemini and a couple others, and I said, find the differences. And it found, it missed most of them most of the time. And then the ones that it found, and I asked it both to circle them and to just provide a list in case that it was just bad at adding pixels to images. And it didn't matter. They found, correctly of the ones that they selected, and maybe like a 20 to 40% success rate. Then it missed a bunch. So it was way worse than basically just guessing. So these models can't do this. Like if
This
they
is
can't do it with a Highlights magazine, right?
designed for 6 to 12-year-olds.
Okay, my 10-year-old son just said Highlights magazine. I love those. He's sitting next to me quietly on his computer playing Roblox, and so Highlights does exist, and they're still
I
giving them to
actually
children.
want to say an aside here, similar to that. When I was a little kid, I lived in England, and they had a publication called Quest. They actually had a bunch of these things, like Quest and like some other ones, like Bugs and stuff like that. And like, you would go to like the newsstand, and they would come out fortnightly. And at like the beginning of every year, they would release like a binder with the like, it wasn't really a magazine, but it was like three ring punched like inserts, and you'd get like a big pile of them. And like every fortnight you would go get this, and it would like update your binder of like all this stuff. And like it had like, it was kind of like an encyclopedia. Like it had like engineering and like vehicles and physics and chemistry and like all these like articles about those like subjects and stuff. And you would get them every fortnight, and you'd put them in your little binder. And I still have mine from when I was a kid in England, and that was the coolest shit ever.
Dude, I kind of actually want to see that binder. I'm not joking.
Yeah, no. Maybe I'll try to find it. It's at my house.
Yeah.
I know that. I saw it.
Yeah, if you find it,
ago.
put it in a box and send it over my way, and I'll take a look at it. And if you could throw the GammaStrike hat in there, that'd be great too. Okay, so
nice try.
But it's kind of like the same thing with, and I was thinking, what about stocks like Palantir and stuff like that, in light of this? Because I think back to the Palantir, right? They just parrot over and over again, we helped kill Osama bin Laden, but of course it's all like classified, so they can't actually tell us what it is they actually provided as a service to help them do that, because it seemed like a bunch of ripply muscled experts in the dead of night did most of the work. But
you'd be shocked how much intelligence Palantir provides to U.S. special forces and stuff. It's crazy.
So like the data, the access to the data, I can kind of see that, right? And I know that people have talked a lot about like the kinds of data that places like ICE and other agencies are getting access to, like trying to figure out. I think this is one of the things that led them up to Minnesota. If you're, people are probably like, why the fuck is ICE going to the wrong side of the country to try to capture the people coming through the southern border? I think a lot of that was motivated by data collection and curation from AI systems that said, hey, there's a lot of people here. You need to get in there and look around.
I thought it was
so-
just like the viral video of that guy walking up to active daycares and being like, this place isn't active because they won't let me in.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that was the impetus for it. I don't know how much of that was cause or effect.
I think
for that.
it was definitely cause, but like ICE operations started in Minnesota like heavily after that video like went viral. It got like 162 million views, and I'm sure they felt like they had the support, given all the outrage towards the video, to make like a major ICE move, and it fell flat on its face when they started murdering people.
Yeah, perhaps that was the coalescence they needed, because they already had data that said there's this is an area of interest, and maybe that helped kind of push them over the edge. But yeah, I think everybody needs to be really skeptical about Iran, any sort of military activity and AI, because and there are lots of other AI things, some of which I've seen and can't talk about, that aren't LLMs, but are, doing things like, autonomous vehicle we'll just call it an autonomous vehicle that only exists for a short period of time. But like there is a lot of, machine learning and other things going on in the military to do some of these things. But as far as LLMs go, right, which is what Claude is, I just don't understand what exactly the value proposition is from the perspective of a military operation. But yeah, maybe one day I'll be proven wrong, but it's nice that they never have to actually explain what it is that they do. But speaking about, AI and basically being infiltrated into everything, we also have to talk about the NASDAQ and the S&P having their worst month.
Well, actually, before we jump to that, I wanted to add one more thing that I thought was really important.
Go ahead.
To the whole Iran and war, Department of War, and all of that. Pete Hegseth, an Ivy League graduate himself, came out and announced this weekend that the radical ideologies of all the good schools in America no longer align with the Department of War's vision, and starting in the 2026-27 academic year, he is ordering the complete and immediate cancellation of all Department of War attendance at universities like Princeton, where he went, Columbia, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Brown, Yale. And I thought that was really interesting, because who doesn't want dumber military brass, right? I mean, that's what I've always thought about.
He's saying he doesn't want military personnel going to those schools?
Yes.
Oh.
He has banned active duty service members from attending.
The Venn diagram of those is pretty small anyway.
It probably is, yeah, in all fairness. But
they're not smart enough to get into most of those schools.
He's going to be adding more schools to the list as time goes on.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, I didn't plan this, but, being an academic in Texas has served me well, because I get to be an academic.
I assume they just needed him to record something to sober up before the operations in Iran started. But
yeah, it could be. I don't know. It seems like not a big deal. I don't think the Venn diagram really overlaps that heavily between those people and those schools, but I could be wrong.
The thing is he's just going to be willy-nilly canceling schools all over the country. So, state programs that don't align with the administration's ideologies, etc. But the whole point about, higher education is to learn multiple ideologies. And it's no wonder
Yeah, well,
that those lean left. I mean,
the bigger, I think the bigger potential there is, most people don't know this, but somewhere about 6 or 7 years ago, the Department of War became the largest funder of basic science research in the country, surpassing other places like the National Science Foundation and the
which no
Department of
longer exists,
Energy.
correct?
No, it still exists. It's still there.
Okay.
They got kicked out of the building they built for them by the HUD, I think, housing,
Oh, okay.
just because they liked the view from the building, so they kicked them out, and now they don't have a home. So that was cool. But anyway, the bigger thing is that the Department of War is a huge funder of academic research. And also research at national labs and things, but that's the much bigger thing
to this, right?
Like, I don't think any of the schools are going to care about not sending their students, who are a pretty small slice of any student population, pretty much anywhere.
I feel like there's a lot of people who are, getting tuition funding through being in the reserves and shit, and that cuts them out because they're military personnel.
It's not that huge, though. It really isn't.
No. All right.
No.
But I feel
what
like
is
the
huge
next step is going to be cutting
military research
military
contracts.
funding. Yeah.
That's huge. So, obviously if they start saying that these are institutions that, cannot, I don't even know if you can. I don't know what laws are. I have no idea. But yeah, they hold the largest lever in terms of, basic science and even applied science research. And, it's not great. I think a lot of scientists and researchers would love for that money to be directed through other avenues, especially why not just have the basic science stuff going through the NSF, et cetera. But they do make the sausage work, right? They find a way to try to meet the requirements of the Department of War's contracts, while still doing the basic research and things sort of complementary to that effort, and still try to find a way to get it done. So if they start cutting people off like that will be bad in terms of our competitiveness for doing that kind of research in the future. But obviously, we've gotten pretty far off topic, but I wouldn't. He was probably drunk. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, the markets, we've been basically stagnant since October, just flat, violently flat. What's going on? One notable thing is that Mag 7 is significantly down from October, whereas the rest is up, and the net effect is flat.
I think that it's CapEx chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about this all through earnings season, and obviously, higher capex out of NVIDIA, and even though they met in line with their guidance, and really, actually beat Wall Street's expectations a little bit. People don't like to see the slowdown crunch, the possible off ramp of other major hyperscalers moving to custom ASICs. They don't like that NVIDIA is going to be spending more money, and then that money is not really going back to the shareholders. It's going towards increased capex, because NVIDIA's costs have risen because of that upstream effect, where everything upstream of NVIDIA is going to be charging more money, which puts NVIDIA under a lot of pressure to spend more. And so I think that the narrative is, shifting. I mean, maybe the most bearish thing that I've seen in a while is for AI is that Cathie Woods has bought, $7 million of some popular AI stock. which is usually, the death note for any industry, as if Kathy Woods is going long. So
rip Zoom.
Yeah, rip Zoom. What else did she buy at the top? Oh wait, everything.
Yeah, but she created an extreme value with the sheer size of the future tax write-offs that she's provided to her clientele.
That's true. That's true.
I don't think anybody at scale has provided more of that. And I know she did at one point point that out as, hey, look what I did. Look at the value I created here. Anyway. Yeah, so I think clearly the AI narrative is continuing to just become scattered and more variable and have higher volatility. Like I said the other day, or a week or two ago, as more people jump off the AI train, the people that remain must get more extreme to try to maintain the euphoria. And, we're kind of in the midst now of this really weird place where all of the midwits in the media sort of think like, oh, I asked Claude Code or Clawbot or whoever to make me a shitty app that like adds 3 numbers together, and it made it. Therefore, SaaS is dead. And then everybody in the financial world said, holy shit. And then they went and said, make me a future profit discount model, and it shits out one that's got like 10 errors in it, but because they don't actually know how to do a discount, free cash flow model.
Discounted
DCF, yeah.
DCF.
That they're just like, holy
Cash
shit,
flows.
like SaaS is dead. And so all these people are just making these slop apps that don't actually do anything, have no guardrails or accuracy, and they're extrapolating wildly to the death of all software as a service. And that has been kind of an interesting sell. I actually wanted to get your...
I thought the most interesting commentary on that was out of Jensen Huang himself when he said, wait, hold on. We need to sell those people chips. SaaS is alive. We need actual software for our agents to use. Kind of in the same stroke, admitting that his agents can't make the software on their own.
Well, this would also be coming from the same guy who's been pushing for years that the future of coding is going to be conversational.
And that you shouldn't learn to code is the giant software stack that they sell as a service.
Yeah. But I mean, literally,
chips.
Jensen Huang has told children, do not learn to code. Coding is dead. I have killed it. And now that everybody's freaking out, thinking that coding might be dead, of course, he says, wait. It's not dead. And so everybody's kind of flipped on this weird one. And I don't know that I want to call it AI euphoria. I think it is a form of, I think AI doomerism is a form of AI hype. But Jamie Dimon had a lot to say this week about these kinds of things that are occurring. And unfortunately, like, I don't know, nobody really talks about this, but Jamie Dimon is kind of a perma-bear. Right? I mean, nobody really pegs him as one, but he's been kind of Mr. Doom and Gloom since like 2021. And he keeps saying like, this shit's going to fall apart, and then it doesn't.
He says that, but then JPM just keeps betting right alongside the bulls every time. So
Well, yeah, but
it's hard to take
he's-
him at his word. But he has said that Fed rates need to be higher. He said the fiscal situation in the U.S. is a fucking mess. Like, he's just honest, because I don't think he cares. Because there's no harm that will come to him. He is JPM
for sure.
is definitely the most stable bank in the U.S. They're fine. Until they have to start absorbing all the other failing banks, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, let me
and by
read
then
to
he'll
you.
be retired, so he really doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, let me read to you a couple of things that he said. So this is from CNN Business. So he says, there will be a cycle one day. I don't know what confluence of events will cause that cycle. My anxiety is high over it. I'm not assuaged by the fact that asset prices are high. In fact, I think that adds to the risk. It actually kind of sounds like a bunch of nothing, like something Kathy Woods might say. But anyway, so he continues on. Unfortunately, we did see this in 2005 and 2006 and 2007. Almost the same thing. The rising tide lifting all boats. Everyone was making a lot of money. People were leveraging to the hilt. The sky was the limit. And I think today the rising tide is lifting all boats. My own view is people getting a little comfortable that this is real, these high asset prices and high volumes, and we won't have any kind of problem whatsoever. I don't know how long it's going to be great for everybody. I see a couple of people doing some dumb things. I didn't say who those people were, but he's, yeah. And so I'll just read a little bit more and then we can discuss. There's always a surprise in a credit cycle. And this time around, it might be software because of AI. There's moving tectonic plates underneath it. It causes the industry to be challenged. So, he's again talking about this narrative of like software as a service, and he's kind of saying like maybe, but he certainly isn't fully, doesn't seem to be fully buying into it. And then, kind of he's been talking in the past about, tricolor and those things. But what do you think? Is there anything here? Is he just
I think my view on it's been that, we were nearing the inflection point for a few quarters, and I still think, even with NVIDIA's beat, that this quarter was the tipping point for cash flows and CapEx, and cyclically, I think we're moving into the CapEx part of the cycle. And that means fundraising, that means spending lots of money, and I'm not even sure that enough money exists to build out the AI rollout everyone dreams of, because the US can't back it. We're not in a fiscal position to pay for all that shit, not unless we want our yields to go to 10%. And then these corporations can't back it because their cash flows are nowhere near the amount of money they need to spend. And so Apple's sitting on a ton of cash, but they might be really the only one that's super cash rich, and they're not spending any fucking money on AI.
No.
The rest of them are, spending like fucking crazy, and now they're issuing debt, and they're going to have to start issuing debt at higher yields. And what are they going to dilute? They've split enough, right, that they could definitely dilute the fuck out of their shareholders to raise capital, but that's going to cause everyone to freak the fuck out and bail. So, what point do we get to where now we're going to start to see shareholder dilution? Because that's the next step, right? You can only raise so much corporate debt before it becomes less favorable than just diluting your massively overpriced stock. Like if you own fucking Google, and you're trading at 80x your forward PE, do you want to issue debt that you got to pay back for the next 20 fucking years, or do you want to just
100 years?
Yeah, whatever, fucking 100 years, 50 years, whatever absurd conditions they're putting on it. Do you want to be making that payment every month, or do you just want to dilute your shareholders? Like, you're an insider, you've already sold a bunch of stock, you're rich, your stock's still overvalued. What are you gonna do? Are you
Yeah,
going to pick
I mean,
yourself or yeah? I mean, so
I've been kind of surprised they
think,
haven't done that up
well,
till
we're
now.
just not there yet, right? We're still
Yeah.
we're still in the phase where everything is rosy and they want their share price to appreciate and look good and attract, and they want to use that to attract talent. And then once they've locked all their talent in that they need for their infrastructure rollout, that's when you start to see dilution.
Well,
So when
that's,
hiring freezes up, and speaking of which, I want to kind of roll this in there. PayScale released their like forward pay report, like forward like pay increase report, which is basically like they do a survey of all the corporations in America, and they go, what are you paying your employees? Like, what kind of raises are you guys giving out? Are you incentivizing top performers? Are you paying raises across the board? And this thing comes up that's kind of rare economically in the US, where more and more companies are going towards like what they call like peanut butter raises. You've probably seen it in the news over the weekend, and this happened before the recession in 2008, because it's a way for companies to cut down dramatically on their pay increases and save money, and they need that money to spend, right? So I think 9% of organizations, a peanut butter raise, just for people who don't know, is basically you just give everyone a flat raise of like 2% a year. Like you keep your salaries commensurate with the moves in inflation roughly, and then that's like kind of all you do. You don't go above and beyond for individuals or teams or groups. It's just flat across the board, and it helps with your accounting, and it keeps your overall costs down. And in a highly competitive environment, you're giving 50% raises to teams where you need talent to be attracted. You're paying your top performers because they're driving that uptick in growth. But as soon as that growth stops, you pull back. And previously, 9% of organizations were already implementing this practice in the US. Now, 16% additional organizations are saying they're going to implement it this year. And then 18% more on top of that are considering it, which brings you up to about half of surveyed organizations saying that they're going to a flat pay raise structure within the next 2 years. And that's very significant. These were announced broadly in the finance industry around like 2007, 2008, in tech in 2007, 2008. And this is when everything came crumbling down, because all the corporations were like, we've achieved max growth, and they shut down that competitive pay scale.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that has been happening already. Everybody claims that all of these job cuts are due to benefits from AI increasing productivity, but I think everybody kind of sees through that, because the profit margins aren't really telling that story, right? They're cutting people to preserve margins, not cutting people in the face of skyrocketing margins, right? They're not getting those real productivity, that real productivity boost. People call it AI whitewashing, using that as a convenient excuse to cut jobs. I think notably this week, Block, what's his face, the guy Jack Dorsey, the guy who created Twitter. He has a payment processing company called Block, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to cut 40% of my workforce this week. We're going to figure it out next week." Yeah, and this is big. I think they have like 12,000 employees or something like that. So they're cutting, thousands of people, and claiming that it's just because the AI has gotten so bullish or is so productive, and in response, that the stock jumped like 20 something percent. Because it sounds great. AI whitewashing works. But probably the more likely answer is that their margins are being stressed, and they are just over bloated, and they've got too much rot in their business as they expanded too quickly. I mean, it's the same thing with X, right? Or with Twitter. Elon Musk went in there and got rid of 70% of the people, and everybody said, "Oh, Twitter's going to collapse," and it did get worse, but it didn't really collapse, and it still kind of just functions the way it did before, more or less. And so I think that's more of a measurement of Jack Dorsey's inability to rein in spending when times are good. But yeah, I mean this has been happening. There outside of healthcare, there's been like no job growth for like the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Labor markets are just flat.
And so you look at the AI spend and everyone's just like, I don't really see it. I don't see where this is going. Like, yeah, you're talking a big game, but just like Iran and using Claude with the strike, like people are like, I don't understand how you used a chatbot to help you do like what? None of this makes sense. And I think as more people are kind of like, it just doesn't feel right, doesn't make sense. It's going to be harder and harder to elevate the stock prices, even though you have Jensen beating Ray's Huang beating the drum harder than he ever has.
Dimon's not the only one who's come out pretty publicly with a more bearish take on AI.
Are we doing this?
I'll touch on it. All right.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go for
it. Citadel, very famously the largest retail market maker by a long shot, kind of posted a response to a recent article that had come out on X that had driven a lot of engagement about this dystopian future where AI had taken over all the white collar jobs and how this wasn't necessarily going to be an economic benefit. And this is actually what started to drive a lot of the sell off in SaaS, was because this article was so widely published and viewed.
I want to correct that. So it wasn't a big like initial driver. Like SaaS had already been selling off up to that point, but this
accelerated the sell off in some particular.
It was like a 2-day. Yeah, it accelerated it for a day or two, and everybody in the financial world was publicly talking about it and providing their own commentary. So it was very clearly the sell-off was driven by this little article, which was basically doom porn. But yeah, continue.
which was something I thought was really fun, was Citadel kind of clap back against that, releasing some figures of just data that's showing that the AI utilization and its replacement of white collar workers is non-existent currently, which came about a week after I wrote an article, well, for me and for GammaStrike, regarding the lack of utilization of AI across corporations, and how these companies just weren't upping how much they were paying for AI. They couldn't get their employees to use AI. The utilization among executives at like 6,000 different companies, per their CEOs, CFOs, was less than like 1.5 hours a week. So basically it's not even replacing Google search at that point, even though it's somewhat incorporated into that. And I mean, at most jobs I've worked, I probably use search engines more than an hour and a half a week, and the fact that AI is not even meeting that metric is wildly disappointing for any narrative about AI taking over the workforce anytime soon. And in that time, people are hiring more, and then also they're hiring more. They're hiring more white collar workers, and they're hiring more engineers, because now they have miles and miles of shit code that they need actual programmers to comb through, because they've just shat it all out of Claudebot, right? And so you can't get those systems functional and robust without actual engineers working on it. So the dream is you get Claude to print out all this code, and all that code just magically fits into yours and it all works. But that's not how it plays out in reality. And because of that, none of these businesses are looking to spend more money on AI next year. They're not looking to fire people for over the next 2 years. They don't think it's going to affect the amount of salary they pay out over the next 2 years. I mean, it's pretty much it was a really interesting report that I kind of based my article off of, and you guys can go check that out on X. But basically, Citadel coming in right behind me saying the same exact thing. Both and my article came out before the whole AI doom gloom article did, but both of them kind of saying the exact opposite is what the data is showing us. So,
and don't worry if you missed that article, which which very well could get pulled soon in a desperate attempt to avoid some interesting things. Somebody will write another one that looks very similar to it, probably in the next week or two. We tend to get one of these at least once a week, and everybody freaks out about it. We had one the week before this one, right?
No matter what you might think, AI is not Skynet just yet. And Sam Altman is not John Connor.
Oh, God. I can't wait till nobody talks about him anymore. Hey, so let's wrap up our discussion about, the NASDAQ and S&P struggling this month and all of the AI disruption, at least in the financial markets, which seems to be the only place that has much impact. I'll let go some of the other, we don't even really have time to talk about the fact that Sam Altman just announced that they closed their 110 billion round. That was mostly Amazon, Nvidia, and I can't remember who else, Google. But I mean, I'm assuming most of that's in kind for compute, and that's now I would consider that to be OpEx for those companies. SoftBank also somehow found money to give them, which I don't believe, because SoftBank no longer has any money because they already gave it all to him.
Wait, hold on. Didn't they just liquidate all of their NVIDIA positioning?
No, they did that for the last round, and they levered all of their ARM.
Shit.
Yeah, so I have no idea where they're even getting this money, but
that's
anyway.
Like buying a car and then selling it used, and then using that money to buy a different used car that you then sell like a month later, and then use the money from the third car you sold to buy another. Okay.
Yeah. And it's somewhere in there, some of the cars are collateral for something, but you don't even own the car anymore. Yeah.
Well, it's like using the car that you so you buy a new car and then you use it for collateral to get a loan on a used car, and then you sell the new car as a used car and it's depreciated value. And then you use the loan to buy another used car. And you get a loan on the used car you just bought.
So when do we buy SaaS? When does SaaS look good? Are we there yet?
I mean, doesn't it already? I mean, companies like CrowdStrike are they're so integral to like day-to-day internet infrastructure that I don't see how they're not going to stop making fucking money. I mean, it's not like anybody cares about security breaches because they're insured and they don't care about their customers.
Well,
but
so the challenge for me, and why I wanted to kind of pick your brain on this, since this is what you do, is yes, the prices are going down and the narrative is probably completely wrong. So there is an opportunity there. But prices everywhere in the market were already pretty elevated and pretty scary, right?
So you do. I mean,
have we just deflated back to like reasonable values, or are we actually overcorrecting?
I mean, let me take a look at crowd.
And maybe this would be like a follow-up for next week, but I wanted to put this on your radar because I feel like a lot of listeners are probably going to care about this pretty soon.
Yeah.
We got time. Like I said, somebody will write another doom porn post about the death of SaaS next week, and everybody will be talking about that one.
I mean, I think technically, like, CrowdStrike's at current valuation levels and current market leverage levels, like CrowdStrike, for instance, is pretty cheap. I think it if you're looking historically like what kind of PE should this company really be trading around? I mean, you're probably looking at like a pullback towards like, 2022, 2021 levels, where it's more, let's call it elegantly priced.
So you think elegantly priced is still below us?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I also
that's
think
kind of the
that,
sense that I was getting.
I also think that we're not in a market where these stocks have been priced fairly or reasonably in some time.
Right.
So I think the current valuations, it's cheap. I think if there is a major structural shift that we're seeing it underway, but it's not fully realized yet. If that shift occurs, then I think a lot of these companies could get still substantially cheaper.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, we want to get into earnings. I think we kind of front loaded our discussion this week because there's not a ton that we really cared a ton about. Cracker Barrel, that's probably people eat there still, right? I don't know.
Are we going to find out how the Cracker Barrel controversy affected them this quarter?
I feel like that happened.
I can't remember when it happened. I paid so little attention to it. I don't even know what the controversy was.
Yeah, I mean, people got way more upset about it. Was about the change in the logo. They took out like the old cracker, the old white man sitting next to a barrel. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming the barrel's full of crackers and he's not the cracker, but I have no idea. It's unclear from the graphic.
I think we're going to have to mute your use of that word.
Cracker? I can say that. I'm a cracker.
I don't know.
That's
You're not taking it back though. Yeah, we might have to. I don't know. Because of
we'll discuss with Ron. We'll see what Ron says. But anyway, so they'd come up with a logo that was pretty corporate-y and like just
people just didn't like it.
It was just like a square with the word Cracker Barrel on it.
We have a bunch of big box retail. That should tell us a ton about the consumer this week. We have Target, we have Best Buy, we have Costco. Costco being a huge one. Especially with recently so many people supporting Costco because they've been pushing back against tariffs. I would imagine Costco's memberships are way up.
Yeah, I feel like Costco is going to be fine. But yeah, Best Buy,
they're
Target,
not going anywhere.
Best Buy will be
every time I've been there.
Yeah, Best Buy could be an interesting one given the rocketing prices of electronics.
Yeah. There was actually a really interesting. I wonder if Ron can dig it up. There was a really interesting paper that something like 90% of US like consumer electronics manufacturers will be out of business within like 3 years if prices of components continue to increase at the rate they are or stay at the rate that they've increased.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. I mean, they're interestingly, I feel like
a little bit back into macro. Something we missed was PPI.
Yeah, PPI I was going to get to that when we got to. I was going to get to that when we got to calendar, so maybe after the break.
Okay,
but yeah, right. the PPI was very hot.
So hot.
So hot. But yeah, do we want to go ahead and just get into the break? Do we have anything else we want to talk about in earnings? Dork, I know you've been quiet. You always have that one earnings joke that you love to focus in on. What's your
Well, what earnings am I most interested in right now?
Yeah.
It is Billy.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. What is that?
I have no fucking clue.
You're like that guy. Remember that guy on was it CNBC or somewhere talking about Upstart?
Oh yeah. What do they do? Oh, what's that? I can't hear you breaking up. No, I'm honest. I don't know what Billy does. Let's find out. Billy, Asia's leading anime, comics, and games community where people can create, watch, and share engaging videos.
That actually sounds pretty fucking dope.
Well, it's all.
I hope.
I think it's Chinese or something.
Well, I hope they do well. It sounds cool.
Yeah. Well, they come out with most of the leaks for like new games and stuff. So.
All right. Well, Ron, why
What
don't you
about
play us out
Riot?
into the?
Is Riot gonna go bankrupt?
I mean, it's just a continuation of the crypto Bitcoin story getting into AI, right?
All right.
Or no, Riot's
Yeah.
games? Are they games or I can never tell?
No. It's I think so. It's the Bitcoin miner, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Digital
Riot's also a game. But
yeah,
I think
Riot
they're
is
the
a game studio,
manufacturer.
but I don't think they're trading. Yeah, so
Which also tanked alongside SaaS.
yeah, because AI is going to make all the games, which
Yeah. Seems even more
So
improbable
dumb.
than them making all the software as a service.
yeah, right. Because that's, I mean, now you're kind of getting more into art than you are into just design of structure of infrastructure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious with Riot. Okay, yeah, they are transformational data center milestones. Yeah, so 25 megawatts of capacity with AMD. That's nothing. They're buying lands. Oh, they want to go up to 700 megawatts of capacity. Presumably mostly for the expansion, presumably mostly for AI development. So yeah. It'll be interesting to see how long all of these people can hold all this terrible debt building infrastructure that inevitably has lots of delays. And yeah, it'll be interesting because AMD is going to lease that space, I guess. Which, what does AMD need to do all this AI compute for? I guess this is more just buying their own supply.
They just want to become a cloud provider themselves. They can use their own chips and build their own data centers at cost.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but that's what I would be thinking of if I was NVIDIA or AMD. Why let the hyperscalers have the big pot of gold when you can get it yourself at cost?
I don't know. This seems like that meme from the Walter White meme where that guy's just like, we had a good fucking thing going here. All you had to do is keep your mouth shut. Like, NVIDIA kind of seems to have a good thing going. They sold a shitload of chips to people at huge markups.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they want to get into I don't know.
Because they're getting squeezed out of the chips, right? I mean, when your RAM costs, 50% more than it does to build the entire chip did previously, you need to find another avenue to keep your margins expanding.
Girk, I'm surprised you didn't call out AutoZone. You love to call out car part sellers.
Well, I like O'Reilly a little bit better as a measure, but because they tend to represent a bit more professional use than just AutoZone. But yeah, those are good. They're good like bellwethers. If people are fixing their cars a lot themselves, services are probably too high. The same thing can be said about increases in car leases. People tend to lease more cars as you get like personal leases, not through LLCs, which is harder to track. But like people tend to lease more cars as like credit becomes tougher. So I mean, right now I think most new car loans are between like 6 and like 12%. Depending on your credit score and deposit and stuff like that. And
combine that with the cost of the car too. It's crazy.
Very frequently leases are like 2-3% APY and like cost to finance. So a lot of people start leasing more cars, and then people start fixing their cars because they can't buy a new one. Because you go in for a $30,000 like which is, now like a Corolla. It used to be like a $15,000 car. It's like 30 grand to get like a Toyota, 30 to 40 grand to get a Toyota Corolla. And
maybe in New
which,
York City, that seems rich even for.
you can go look it up if you want to, but I'm pretty sure a loaded Corolla is around 40K, or like, well, 36, something like that. It's absurd. But with that kind of pricing, you're looking, or with those APYs, you're looking at, like $600-700 a month fucking payment on an economy car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fully loaded, $30,000. Fuck.
I mean, all we have to do is let BYD ship their cars to the US and we can drop those prices by 50% within a year. But so far, we haven't let that happen.
Yeah, it looks like the most loaded one at my local dealership, which is just an SE, which I'm assuming is not even the top. I don't know if they
That's
do
not.
unlimited,
Yeah, they
but
do.
maybe
They have
like the
a loaded.
XLE.
Yeah, like XLE.
But this
I
one,
think
this one is I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know what the models are for the Corolla, but yeah, this one's 29. Wow.
I think they have an XLE and an XSE, depending on whether it's the Corolla or the Corolla Cross, which is like the little SUV one.
Fancy.
I don't know why I know that. Anyway.
All right. Well, I'm going to research the cost of this Corolla. And then on the other side of the break, we will talk about the calendar and the hot PPI.
We're at over an hour in, so it's clear you like Volstars, and for that, we're thankful. Could you do us a huge favor, though, and be sure to give this a like and subscribe if you haven't already? It really helps us to get the podcast out to others, so we appreciate it. Thank you. Well, hey there, stranger. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to check us out on our socials, where you can hear the latest about Volstars and GammaStrike. Check us out on X, Blue Sky, and Reddit.
And we are back talking about the calendar. So before we get into the calendar this week, we got to talk about that hot PPI. Spicy.
It was so
Not only
spicy.
was it hot this month, but it was hot last month also.
Yeah, the trend doesn't look great.
No. No, kind of.
I mean, it's no 2021, but it's yeah. This is not a good trend.
What's really interesting though is that apparently it's like all services and not goods. What's that about?
AI.
It said commodity goods minus 0.3. This is final demand components. Goods minus 0.3%. Commodity services 0.8.
Yeah, I mean, this is the month into Jan, so it kind of makes sense.
So what's going on there?
Services costs going up. I think we're just seeing. There could be a few things, but people who need to cover their operating costs with the increase. So when you think about services, right? Most services are people using computers. And in general, there's a continuous flow of people who need to replace their computer or upgrade it or anything like that. And when their costs go up on that stuff, they pass that along to their consumer. And I think computer part prices like RAM and other stuff, and now like just hard drives and stuff have gone up enough that, and it's been long enough that I think we may actually start to be seeing those costs be passed on. At least that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking a look through some of this stuff and actually some of this is kind of scary, like energy materials. Oh, sorry, I'm an idiot. I'm looking at the wrong side. Okay, yeah, so it shows food down 1.5%, energy down 2.7%. Without food and energy, final demand goods was 0.7%. So this looks like the story is that energy and food actually dragged it down, but everything else was much higher. And that was actually more so kind of in line with what you were proposing. But that seems to be a little bit more in line with the services part as well. So this is really goods and services are all up, but energy and food are down.
I mean, yeah, the silicon is the second oil of the economy, right? When oil goes up, everything goes up. When silicon goes up and in its many permutations, everything goes up. Everybody needs a computer to do their job for the most part in any sort of, industry. Even people who are, the cashiers with their little computers they're scanning food with and all that, all the way up to the executives who use fancy laptops to open Excel.
Yeah, and it looks like trade is a big part of the services part too.
Yeah.
Actually, it looks like trade is most of it.
Actually,
Although transportation and
it looks like
warehousing is
the jump in margins for professional and commercial equipment wholesaling was huge. I mean, plus 14.4%.
Yeah.
yeah, this is not a great look. So how do we feel? I mean, this kind of brings us back to like the tariff discussion. Do we need to talk about any updates that have happened there with tariffs? Are we still just kind of sitting at somewhere between 10 or 15%
Has it
across
been
the
2
board
weeks?
tariffs?
This is the ninth. This is the ninth straight monthly increase in core PPI.
Yeah, PPI is now accelerating more quickly than CPI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of interesting.
I mean, that would
That's usually how it
suggest a
goes.
margin contraction.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is right now the businesses are doing the best that they can to try to absorb those price increases, hoping that it will be transitory. But yeah, it seems like they're getting crunched.
I mean, I think they're finally starting to
Oh.
price forward the tariff costs also. That seems to be in line with what we're seeing, is that, especially in core goods.
So because we talk incessantly and never shut up, we have gotten to futures open. Looks like oil is up about 9%.
That sounds about right.
Fun.
Isn't that what I said? Oil goes up?
Yeah. Yeah, oil
Okay.
goes up. I mean, okay. It's not I don't think you're blowing anybody's mind with that. But yeah,
Dollar went up too?
that's gonna be
Did
fun.
dollar go up? Are yields down like I said they would be? Did I just get it across the board? Hold on, I'll go look.
Dollars up a little bit.
Bitcoin down.
Ooh, interesting.
Bitcoin down 2%. But it's so volatile now that that's like not crazy.
All right, let's not get too much into it. Okay, so
volatility futures up 9.5%.
Ooh, there we go.
I bet you that trims by market open.
Gold up 1.5%.
Okay, so hot PPI. PPI has been hot. PPI has been rising basically. I mean, if you look at the trend, I just had it up here. Let's see. If you look at the trend, it really like bottomed in 23 after we sold off all of the oil reserves. Almost hit zero and then has basically just been trending up since then, right? I mean, we had this point in 25, like Jan 2025, it was 3.8, then it dropped to 2.4, but now it's back up to 3, and it's just kind of this long trend upwards. So yeah, it's not a great look. I mean, it's already basically back to the point where in, like the middle of 2018, where the Fed started saying that inflation was a problem. Because remember, we had started hiking before COVID. And then COVID just kind of killed that aspiration.
We started hiking, and then we gave G-Sibs a whole bunch of money quietly, and then COVID happened, and then
Yeah.
that was no longer needed anymore. It was a tiny little hike tantrum before everything went to shit.
So, do we all fully expect CPI to follow suit?
I would.
It's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. Unless there's a big swing. So speaking of CPI, we're getting some inflation data this week on Wednesday.
We are getting a bit.
Yeah.
We're getting my favorite reports too. ISM manufacturing and ISM
ISM, yep.
services.
You love
And
those
I don't care
things.
about the actual PMI report. All I care about is the prices. Because they've been right
Yeah.
all along. Unlike the BLS, which has questionable data.
Well, we're also getting more non-farm payrolls. We're getting retail sales.
Yeah, what's going on with non-farms? Is that I think we're looking at like a different calendar maybe there. Friday is non-farm.
Yeah. Oh, this is for the next 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah. So we're getting inflation not this week, next Wednesday.
Yeah, why is the calendar like that? That's weird. Let me see.
So this week we have ISM and non-farm payrolls and retail sales.
We also have EU inflation this week, which could be somewhat important. And we get import-export prices for January. So the import-export prices are starting to catch up. And we get
That'll have some
non-farm
interesting-
productivity on Thursday. I actually don't see NFP. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we get NFP retail sales and business inventories this Friday. That's going to be a big day.
Yeah, the inventories will be interesting.
What if
Yeah, and
NFP
then
doesn't go down again? What if it just stays at like 130K?
That would be pretty interesting because the last month that's a huge adjusted value, right? And we talked about
Yeah.
that before. I mean, if we got that same number again this week, that would basically say that something is accelerating. I think that would be notable. I would be shocked if we got 130,000 jobs.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, Jay
What,
Fresh.
why are you smiling? You think we're going to get a hot print on jobs?
No, I just don't think the data is real.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, sure.
I mean, we already know
Sure.
that the bias for non-revised payrolls is to the upside. So because of the way they calculate the data and the extremely low number of available reports and the assumptions they make, yeah, I think despite us actually not adding any jobs, it's going to continue to look like we're adding jobs every time the report comes out.
It's fun that way.
Yeah, because then at the end of the year, we can go, oh, yeah, remember last year? We didn't add any jobs.
Yeah, but
Oops.
Like
Oopsie.
2025 and 2024.
We're sorry.
The jobs you're looking for are not here.
All right. So next week, maybe maybe we can all breathe and just trade some technicals or something instead of just worrying about. Well, I mean, I guess we do have Iran, so never mind.
What are you talking? Yeah, I was going to say.
I keep forgetting. Like I said, I've worked on my pool all weekend. All I know is that we murdered a bunch of children at school.
Well, hold on. Anthropic murdered a bunch of children at school.
That's
and that's
true.
why it's got to go.
Anthropic did it. It's true. We said Claude make no mistakes, and Claude made a mistake. What you gonna
Gee.
do?
Bonnie Claude.
Oopsies.
All right, Dork, take over. Do your
it my
thing,
turn?
man.
Okay, so as always, you can ask questions on any of the posts that we make before we do these podcasts. Also, where you go to listen to these podcasts, we got links on there for you to ask questions there. You can ask questions everywhere for this. You can just shout it to the sky. We'll probably pick it up.
Ron
All
will
right.
hear it.
Yeah, Ron's got his ear to the sky with like one of those classic old little like horns that deaf people used to use. He's got one of those going at all times. So feel free to ask away and we will get to them if they're good and we like them and we've got enough time. So, yeah. Our first question is from Blue Sky. Oil over $100 is one of the risks identified to Trump associated with attacking Iran. Given how the military operation has gone, how likely is that? What market impacts would we see at $100 a barrel? Well, everything would get way more expensive in like a month first. But
Yeah, oil.
I mean,
We've talked about it a lot, but yeah, oil over $100 a barrel is no bueno.
Yeah.
That's like the
Oil
one
over
thing.
$60 a barrel is no bueno.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, oil's already. I mean, it's trading down right now. Everyone's selling off the open, but
the
oil's currently up
the entire
7%.
inflation narrative is predicated on oil staying cheap. If oil was at like 70, 75 a barrel, the Fed would lose all their credibility. Because there's no way you keep inflation tamped down with oil expensive. It's the only thing kind of like and the RAM demand, the demand for ramming is kind of throwing a wrench in that, but it's going to take a while for that to percolate through everything. But oil has a much more direct link to everything since it's used for transportation, it's used for plastics, it's used for, every step of the process, really, and energy and
It
you
also,
name it,
the
it's in
cost
there.
of it bakes into services because you have the logistics of moving people as well as moving
Plane
products
tickets.
and yeah, I mean, and every step of any process requires oil's input.
Yeah, you're sitting here
So,
listening to
I
this
mean,
podcast and you're eating oil while you do it.
Hey,
what are you
Like,
talking about, me?
I'm
Don't-
talking about everybody. Well, you
I
eat
feel like
oil
you're
too, just
judging
directly.
my.
Are you talking about microplastics?
Well, those too.
You're breathing oil right now.
Yes, that's correct. I got oil in
Yeah.
my balls. I'm proud of it. I'm an American.
And your lungs and your brain.
Yeah, it's good for you.
What's
It builds
amazing
character.
is how much shit. First of all, it's wild that shit just naturally collects in the balls. And second
Is
of
it?
all, it's amazing the amount of shit that is being collected there that has seemingly no effect.
The balls are the most important thing for evolution in male mammals. So
Thank you. Yeah, I think most people that listen to this podcast know that.
for those who don't,
Okay, fair.
Do you want to just define testicles?
I could, but we don't have enough time.
Okay.
But yeah, ultimately, so what market impacts would we see at $100 a barrel? We'd probably see the market going down fairly swiftly. I mean,
we should probably be clear that we're not going to see $100 barrel oil unless there's a significant, delay in the use of the Strait of Hormuz.
yeah, that's something that would happen over like a course of like 90 to 120 days.
No, not necessarily. I mean, it could happen
You think it
overnight.
happen faster?
Yeah. But until that's a standing position of the current Iranian government, that they are not going to allow passage through the Strait of Hormuz until that's a thing, then oil prices will probably stay up. I mean, they're up already. And Brent looks like it's around 80 a barrel right now. Light
Yep.
crude trading at like 72. So, I mean, we're definitely going to get some knock-on effects from oil vol. And we're probably already seeing that with VX in the overnight here. But until there is substantial disruption to the trade of oil through the region, then oil prices are very unlikely to go over 100. Now, if they do close the Strait of Hormuz, or they mine it or barricade it in any way, or if they're conducting attacks on it, then oil will absolutely go up to those levels.
Yeah, I was
And
thinking. I was just kind of
and the
extrapolating forward
effects
with the
on
current
everything are
state.
just horrendous. I mean, it's not good. It's not good for anything. It's a big risk off event. It's scary. Big
Yeah,
scary
that's
oil prices.
well, when operating costs go up like that, like demand for credit goes up a bunch, and the quality of credit goes down. So, because your
Yeah.
margins are going to contract, so it's not a good look for the overall economy because your money is no longer like the money you borrow is no longer being as concentrated in actually making your business better. It is more concentrated in just keeping your margins afloat and paying for your operating costs. You have to allocate more funds to that, and so it naturally would make all businesses look a little weaker.
Yeah, but couldn't we just counteract that by selling oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve?
Do we
The
still have
empty,
oil in that?
Oh shit,
mostly
it's still empty.
strategic. Yeah,
Oh,
we sold it the last time oil was expensive, which was a
shit.
good move actually. But nobody's refilled it much since. We were going to use all of Venezuela's oil, all of the Venezuelan oil that we can't get out of Venezuela unless we put it in a Home Depot bucket and carry it across the Caribbean Ocean in a dinghy.
It could work. We might need more than one bucket, though.
Might need more than one dinghy. And then you've got to hope that Hegseth doesn't start blowing them up out of habit.
You mean Anthropic or no? Sorry, OpenAI accidentally blowing them up out of
I mean,
precedent.
you hope Sam Altman doesn't blow them up out of habit.
Well, yeah, it would read the articles about how that's just what you do is blow up boats out there. So then it would just tell
Right.
people to blow them up.
Maybe if they
It would
just hold up a
approximate
big
the path.
sign that says, not
They're just holding up a prompt injection.
I mean, the thing is, the more signs you hold up, the higher the likelihood you're going to get blown up. So
They just hold up a prompt injection and it like breaks the model.
right, is that how many R's are in the word strawberry? Yeah, like people in Ukraine no longer like doing like the thing with the umbrellas or the thermal blankets. Now they're just holding up signs with prompt injection. Count to 100.
just some pseudo code.
Write a Linux
All right.
kernel.
Do we want to pull any questions from last week? Because there were a few we didn't get to.
Yeah, we probably should because we had to leave a few out because there were just so dang many last week. So there was one question.
Fentanyl. That's what the sign's supposed to say, not fentanyl. I just remember the name
not
of the drug.
fentanyl.
Yeah. I kept wanting to say Fetty, and I was like, that's not what it's actually called.
How many A's are in the word fentanyl? That'll get them.
Okay,
just put some,
so
yeah.
Good call.
So,
there's 7 A's in that word. Nice catch.
No, it'll just send the U.S. government links to harm reduction websites and stuff. So there was one question last week that I don't think we really hit on that has become more pertinent as I kind of thought it would. And this kind of delves into the world of, kind of risk management, that kind of stuff. So someone from YouTube commented, what short, mid, long-term strategies are there, if any, to counter the U.S. really taking it on the chin at some point without day trading positions? I feel uncertain in times like these. So this person wants to kind of, just figure out how to position themselves for this without having to be worried.
I mean, I assume that they're talking really specifically about the dollar, which, is equivalent to big tech, which is and yields. But I would assume that they're saying, like, I'm in the U.S. I don't want to buy U.S. dollars. I don't want to hold U.S. dollars. I don't want to buy U.S. bonds. And if that's the case, I mean, I feel like they've already answered their own question about how to avoid a potential, drawdown in the dollar and a rise in U.S. yields. Is that there are other currencies in the world. There are currencies that they are not trading at fair value with the dollar, like the yen. There's the euro. There's the pound sterling. There's a lot of other currencies that you can get exposure to that will benefit from the dollar falling. There's bonds in those countries as well. There's emerging market bonds, which tend to do really well in times where the U.S. is undergoing any kind of economic stress. And so, you just need to look abroad. You need to think more globally. If you're going to try to do it internally within the U.S., I mean, you can do what a lot of pension funds do, and you can rotate to defensive sectors, and you can try to capture yield on your dollars that is in maybe excess of the yield available to you elsewhere right now, and then later on liquidate and deploy that when U.S. yields are substantially higher or at parity.
Yeah, and there's like in terms of short term, there's always, I mean, depending on if they are going after some sort of a currency speculation position, then yeah, Girk nailed it. But if you're thinking along the lines of like economic sort of ramifications and those things in the short term, consumer staples tend to be insulated from any
We
of those shocks.
really should highlight that they're kind of insulated from shocks, but they don't benefit from shocks.
No,
In fact,
that's just
they will probably also still fall, especially
Yeah.
if there's damage to the dollar. But they will fall at a slower pace. They will pay generally dividends, so they are more. It's a better way of preserving your cash than like a checking account, but not substantially. And you can still see serious drawdowns in a narrow time frame.
But that's the case with any equity position entirely if it's based in the US at all, if there's a large correlated like downside, doesn't matter what you pick. It just comes down to if you
You
don't
can
know
go with
what's going to be on the other
commodities too.
side. Yeah, commodities adjacent and consumer staples to me seem like ones where if you don't know what's going to happen on the other side of whatever's happening, then ultimately people have to eat, right? And people have to buy gas for their cars, and that's just a fact of life. And so those companies, while their price may, suffer, they're like in terms of being a discretionary or a cyclical sort of thing, they're a little different than say tech or you know, uh tech.
I would say also, this is far more speculative, obviously, and way riskier, but the largest beneficiary of any US economic failing is China. So, and Chinese stocks have been arguably significantly underpriced relative to their US peers for some time now. And so, not that I would ever put 100% of my money there, because there's a lot of market mechanics there that don't really give you true ownership. But some exposure to the yuan or some exposure to Chinese equities could be very beneficial. Um, Exposure to the yen, because of the carry trade, very beneficial. Potentially Japanese stocks, but I don't think so much. And then there's the euro, there's Great Britain. um Russia is really not an option anymore. That would have been one in the past. um Municipal bonds, municipal debt can be a great place to capture yields that's fairly well insulated. I mean, the generally the budgets of large U.S. municipalities aren't going to change too much. due to the fiscal situation of the federal government, especially if you can find municipalities and states that are fairly well self-funded, states like New York or California, where the money they pay out to the federal government is greater than the money they receive from the federal government.
Yeah. I think that yeah, that's a lot of like the stuff that, you can diversify into, and it still wouldn't necessarily reduce. I mean, the China bet, like you said, that one's highly speculative and would reduce your beta significantly, but a good amount of those, if you have a substantial bond position, aren't going to necessarily crush your beta. So yeah, I
Yeah, and
dig
then
it.
there's always, if you think the US is going to keep going, or midterms maybe shift the economic forecast a bit, and we'll say we hit midterms and yields are up, and then Dems sweep, and you think, they're going to pull back some of these less favorable economic policies, that might be a good time to pick up US debt, and see where US debt is at that point, if that's the thing you're afraid of. Because I personally think there's plenty of room for U.S. rates to move higher, given our current fiscal path. So, and the time to buy those would be when that happens.
Yeah, I dig it. Last one comes from our asshole producer, who just shoehorned his question in here like a greedy fuck.
Oh, is that what
But
happened? Is that what fucking Ron did? This is Ron's question.
yeah, Ron asked him. Ron asked a question. I can't believe he would use
Was
his
this
position
last
of
week or
power
this
like
week?
this. This was last week, but I feel like
We just ignored it, right?
we ignored it. But the thing was that Ron threw a brick through my window. So and on there was a note that said, "Read and answer my fucking question." So I want to do
Wow.
this because he knows where I live. So
Well, Ron can't throw bricks through my window. It's 13 stories above the ground. So what am I
that's why
worried about? I
probably
don't
why I
need
went
to
to my
answer this.
place. Anyway, he went to my place because it was, it's less likely that anybody's going to do anything about it. So, anyways, Ron's question is, when are we getting a special culinary arts themed episode of All Stars, and will it be a chili cook-off? Ooh,
This is an interesting question. Only 2 of us make chili, I think.
who's the one who doesn't?
J-Fresh is more of a chili eater.
Yes, I'm a consumer of chili.
Yeah. So I feel like
I mean,
it would
I
be
make
a weird
it, but I'd make a
competition.
pretty generic. I mean, I'm not trying to like
So
elevate
I
chili. I just
make the
want,
most generic chili.
yeah, I just want some real like rib sticking, straight of the run, just great chili with all the like shit in it that, yeah.
You know that if we do a chili cook-off, I'm going to smoke a pork shoulder for like 10 hours and then throw that in the chili and just absolutely ruin your lives.
I mean,
Why do you say
sounds like you're
ew?
gonna ruin your own butthole.
Well, and yours too, because you're going to have to try it.
I'm just gonna barely taste it.
Well, that's also because you're on terzepatide. So if you have more than a bite, you're going to vomit.
Yeah, I can't judge your chili if I'm the only person competing against you.
Well, J-Fresh is just going to open up a can of Hormel and just dump it in a bowl and be like, here's my chili.
And then
What's
he's
wrong with
also
that?
gonna win.
Yeah. You just cut up a couple peppers and stuff and throw that into a can of Hormel chili. It's great.
I mean, chili. It's chili as a recipe is not complicated. It's hard to actually make it complicated. So I feel like ultimately we're all going to make the same thing with slight variations in spices and acidity.
Yet
and
I feel
all
like
that.
all over the Southwest United States every year, thousands of people congregate with the sole purpose of overcomplicating chili.
They do, and ultimately it comes down to things like throwing weird spices in. Because chili as a recipe, I mean, I guess you could put like mirepoix on it if you're weird, but like there's not much you can really do with chili.
It's
Unless
weird that
maybe
it's beef and tomatoes. I don't know what the origin of it is.
some guy who had beef
I
and
know the true
tomatoes.
origin is like chile verde, which comes from Mexico and uses tomatillos and pork.
Yeah.
But like American chili, I don't even know when that started as a thing because we didn't have fucking tomatoes when there were cowboys. So where did it begin? Where is what is the origin of the American chili?
Our producer Ron says that American chili originated as a dish in the Texas-Mexico border region in the mid to late 19th century.
So I'm assuming there were no tomatoes in that original chili. So true chili probably has no tomatoes in it. It's probably just some sort of like pepper sauce with like, and I mean late 19th century, you assume rotten meat, pepper. Oh, that's probably what it was, is they wanted to offset the flavor of their rotten meat. So they just
by
soaked it in
braising
pepper
it in
juice.
pepper water.
Yeah.
That's what ketchup's job originally
Ketchup
was.
came later though.
Mm.
And it was catsup back then.
This is the kind of hard-hitting market discussion that everybody wants to hear while futures are down like almost 1%, oil's
It's important to
rocketing,
understand why people do things and how they did them so that you
It's
don't
true.
make the
No,
same mistakes in the future.
I'm merely making a joke. I am loving this discussion. The last thing I want to do is talk about what everybody else is talking about on X right now.
Which is the futures are down.
Is it that the market's down 1%?
Everybody's freaking out. Yeah, we're still over 6,800.
Who wants to? That should be our stupid bet. Flat it open. Yes. up, down, or flat it open.
Well, with that, I guess we should roll into the next segment. Stupid bets, stupid bets.
Wait, don't we have another question that we have to answer?
I don't think so. I think that was it.
Yeah.
I think we covered them all.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't
So
actually
up, down,
know
or
what the
flat?
second question means. I know we skipped it, but I don't know what it means.
It was
makes
left
no
over
sense.
from some other time. It's not supposed to make sense.
Okay.
You weren't supposed to read it on stream.
Well, I already did.
Well,
I mean, it was all one question. It was just kind of, there was a little bit of elaboration as part of it. So that was all. But yeah, are we doing up, down, flat on feuds? Yeah.
Yeah, do we want to do what about taco? We can't do taco again. It's so boring. It always happens.
With taco this week? Taco
Do we
Iranian
taco in the
taco?
next 72 hours or 48 hours or 24 hours? Or have we already tacoed and it's pointless to discuss it?
We might have
What
already.
if the tacos occurred and it's not even been announced?
Well, yeah, because they got to get their call sheet bets in.
I feel like the time it takes to taco becomes progressively shorter. Like, can we actually, I mean, this is what we do, right? We make graphs. Can we make a graph of time to taco? From the announcement of a catastrophic event, world-changing geopolitical event, to the time that Trump fully rescinds it.
CNT, continuous net tacoing?
Yeah. JFresh?
I'm not making that graph. No, I'm not making that graph. Ask ChatGPT.
But then we could predict the time to taco.
Average time to taco is 2 weeks. JFresh already nailed it on that.
No, that's the average stated time for the negative economic event. So here's the bad thing I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. Then the taco comes days later.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, the actual rescinding of that statement is usually within like 24 to 48 hours.
I don't want to do a taco bet.
I don't want to do a taco bet either.
Okay, so maybe it's end of week, so that way the bet can run for the whole week. Just mark it up, down, or flat end of week.
No, that's not fun. Let's bet on whether Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz.
Ooh,
that's way more fun. And I want to add like an additional side bet
we
Did
do
they
need a
fill it with
leg.
mines?
Okay.
Like
So
Phil,
okay.
did they past tense? It has to be have they already done it?
Yeah, like there's already mines sitting on the bottom of the Strait of Hormuz, and they just haven't deployed them.
Okay.
Like, have they just been dumping
digging
mines
this.
there for like 30 years with no one noticing?
Okay. I like that.
I like the parlay. All right. So Girk, what's your bet?
I think shit, actually.
I can go first.
Well, the US is gonna back off, but Israel won't. So I don't know if there's enough time in the week for negotiations to fall apart. But I wanna say yes, some sort of blockade of the Strait of Hormuz happens. Fuck, I feel like by the end of the week's too early. That's the only problem. By next weekend. Ooh, by the time we next record.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's the time of the bet. So you're saying yes, Hormuz. What about the mines?
Oh, they're absolutely there.
So yes, Hormuz, yes, mines for Girk. Okay. I am going to say no Hormuz because yes, mines.
Ooh.
I'm going to say yes, Hormuz, no mines, because I'm boring like that.
What if you changed it to yes, Hormuz, but they haven't deployed the mines yet?
No, there's no
No.
mines.
That's still your position. That's
Just
still
no
yes,
mines.
mines. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ron gets stuck with no Hormuz, no mines. Fuck you, Ron.
He's the pacifist.
Ron just wants the oil to flow like the spice.
Of course. Well, you get all that, Ron? All right.
All
Well,
right,
fucking
another
A.
episode in the bag.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.